Morning Drive, brought to you by Golf Pride.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Morning Drive on YouTube. I'm Gary Williams. This is Morning Drive presents one-on-one with Masters champions. And all week long, we've been celebrating with some of the great champions in the history of this wonderful tournament. This would have been the 84th edition of the Masters tournament. But by virtue of the global pandemic, the Masters has been moved to November. So we've had the opportunity to catch up with some of the great champions to discuss not only their own experience of past, but also to reflect forward and what this tournament will look like in November. Who better than to talk to than a six-time and the only six-time winner of the Masters tournament, Jack Nicklaus. Here are his thoughts on his own experiences and what we can expect about the Masters in November.
Well, first of all, I didn't expect the Masters to even be played. I didn't think it could be adjusted to it. But be played in November is obviously better than no Masters. And you've got a couple issues. You're going to fight football, which you're quite aware of. And the golf course will be just freshly overseeded unless they decide to wait until after the Masters to overseed it. So the playing conditions will be different. Obviously, you won't have any flowers. But, the greens will be fine. The Masters will be good.
I think to go to Augusta, that time of the year, they should all be looking forward to it, which I'm sure they are, with the challenges, and it's going to be this great event. People will come from all over the world, and charities will be benefited. No, it's just, to me, very exciting, and I can't wait. I'm going to come all the way from South Africa just for that tournament that week.
The thing that I really hope for is dry weather. Augusta National always plays its most elusive when it's dry and fast, and it opens up the possibilities of the mental game really coming into the picture, because the greens could be really glassy. I think that's a nice word to me. If you get cooler temperatures and if you get breeze, and then it makes the greens very fast. That's what you want. I always remember my dear old friend Herbert Warren Wynn, one of the greatest writers America's ever produced. He would always arrive at the tournament and he would ask at the front office, "Is it firm? Is it dry?" That was his first question always. So the players, will have to adapt. It would play longer, I'm certain, but it depends on the two things: breeze and temperature, and hopefully it's dry.
Well, number one, I'm delighted that we, fingers crossed, will get a Masters in 2020. I think what I hear from, obviously from Augusta, that November, it sounds late, but of course they restart their season about 1st of October. So in theory, they're going to have 8 weeks of perfect growing season. No ice storms or, and frosts like they normally get through the winter to get ready for April. So in theory, I believe the golf course could be even better condition, which is almost impossible to imagine.
Well, it's going to be unusual. I mean, it's never happened before. But in saying that, Gary, Augusta National, the Masters tournament, in November, it can be nice. I mean, very nice. So I know that the club and the membership and the tournament committee there at Augusta National will do everything in their possibility to make that a special event, make sure that the players and the patrons and obviously everybody's safe. But I think it might turn out great, and I think you got to keep a positive attitude that it will.
Now that we have a date going forward, I think it's very exciting for people. So, hopefully we can get through this uncertain period right now with as little damage as possible, and we're able to start to get back to our normal lives and celebrate the things that we were so used to celebrating. So I think it's really exciting news, and I can't wait.
We certainly can't wait either, Trevor, but since we have a little time, because the Masters will not be contested until November, why not think about the fact that Tiger Woods will still be the defending champion of the 84th edition of the Masters Tournament when it is held in the middle of the month of November. And over the last several days, some other Masters champions have had a chance to reflect on what happened in 2019 and what the rest of this year might hold for all of us.
I think it was a remarkable restraint. He played with such restraint. Execution. Tiger is some kind of surveyor. He knows what's going on all over at all of the time, and he was so patient. But his swing to me is remarkably balanced now, but apart from the act of hitting the golf ball, his mental acuity really showed, because I think that he conjured up things that he had learned from the golf course in the past. He knows how to play that golf course. He knew when to attack and when to play with more restraint. And it just so happened that his pursuers made the tiniest mistakes. And, Tiger patiently waited them out. His execution was flawless.
Well, it's one of the great things in sports. I really believe that. And I've always been a huge Tiger fan, but I also understand the man. I'm not around him as much over the last 10 years, but I do know this, Gary, that when I was around Tiger and spending time with him and playing and practicing, if I ever wanted Tiger Woods to do something, all I would have to do is tell him, no, you can't do that. No, don't go over there. Those are the motivating factors that set this guy apart from everybody else. So I guess what I'm saying is I think when people count him out, that's usually when he's going to do something special. And we were certainly witnesses of that last year at Augusta National. And I remember after the dinner on Tuesday night, sitting next to him, I came home and I told my wife Meredith, I said, you know what? He's in a really good place. He's going to play well this week. I truly believe he's going to finish in the top 10. I didn't know he was going to win. But when I saw him on Thursday walk by me as he went to the first tee and he piped his tee shot on Thursday, which he normally doesn't hit a very good tee shot on the first hole. He's usually in the left trees or in the right bunker or right trees. And when he split the right center of the fairway perfect, I'm like, okay, game's on. I've seen enough. And that was really the only shot I witnessed him hit, other than all gathering it up on TV like we all did and witness something very special.
What do you see in Tiger Woods at the age of 44, now with the prospect of a lot of rest and potentially two Masters in 5 months?
Well, when we finished the season, earlier this year, I mean, Tiger only played, he plays Riviera, and then didn't do well, and then he disappeared. He didn't keep withdrawing for the next month, obviously right way through, including the Players. So that's a little concerning that obviously, even though he's at home in warm weather in Florida, he couldn't get his back ready. So I think that's probably the biggest concern, that can Tiger put together, 1 week. Obviously, we saw from this last month or so, he couldn't even be confident he could get 1 week of golf. So how he's going to be able to play, a schedule, I have no idea. So, his back rules his career right now, his golf career. So, and he knows exactly how it feels, what he thinks he can do. And that's obviously why he withdrew and didn't play for a month. And, in hope to get it ready for Augusta. But we will see.
Well, no one can predict the future. I think we're all excited by the prospect of Tiger Woods getting not one, but 2 opportunities to win a Masters title in the span of 5 months. And if he wins just one of them, that would equal Jack Nicklaus with 6 green jackets. But some of the best players in the world will have something to say about that, including world number 1 Rory McIlroy, who was on an incredible hot streak before the golf world was put on pause. What do the game's greats think about Rory's chances at a career Grand Slam that is now being pushed back 7 months.
Rory seems to play great at the end of the season. He's certainly been giving himself chances almost every week he's there. You know, some people will look at the negatives. If you look at a positive, that you're always there learning, and you know, that fine line of winning is not easy, is it? So yeah, he's in the past really done well by the end of the season, and you know, and guys will look at, well, if I could win now in November, then I'll be re-going again in April. So hey, there's a possibility we could get somebody else joining Jack, myself, and Tiger as repeat winners. How about that one?
You know, I think he seems to play better in the fall too. As you know, I mean, he's won the Tour Championship a couple of times. Played in Atlanta, very very similar conditions. You know, I think I think this scheduling will be to Rory's favor.
Well, Rory would certainly join the elite if he in fact does complete the career Grand Slam. He would be the first European to accomplish that feat. And what better place to do it than Augusta National? It was Gene Sarazen, the only other man to do that in 1935 in the infancy of the tournament. And every Masters champion, they remember every finite detail of winning at Augusta National.
86? Well, I guess the whole back nine, you know, comes right to the forefront for me. It's you know, I can name every club, every shot, virtually every distance, and you know, because that putt I made at 9 to get the crowd into it, and from then on I started making putts, and the people were fantastic. The whole back nine was great. Having my son Jackie on the bag was fantastic. You know, it was just very special.
You know, Ben, we're going to celebrate your 25th anniversary of the 95 win a little bit later in the year. But if I said to you, and I know that there were a lot of weighty moments in 84 and 95, but if I asked you to confine your thought to what was the most critical moment in 1984 and then again in 1995, could you pick one?
You won my second putt on the 14th green in 1984. I had played a really slack second shot, and I was about 65 feet above the cup, and I putted it down to about 14 feet, and I made that second putt, and that just gave me so much peace. I could have slipped another shot. I didn't need to at that time. I had the lead, and then it, you know, enabled me to play on in, but it was a desperate putt. I mean, I could have it could have really broken my concentration quite a bit. Yeah, I did make that long putt at number 10, which was just bizarre. I mean, I would have killed for a 2-putt at that juncture. And then I had to calm down for 2 holes after making that one. So it was a roller coaster. But somehow that second putt on 14 really calmed me in order to play the last few. So in 84, and then 95 was it was amazing. I had never played a tournament just with 5 bogeys in a week, and that's very unlike me. I'm kind of temperamental at times. My temper gets the best of me, but I had a calm and a peace that week that if I made a mistake, I got it back quickly. So it kind of kept me a little more on even keel. A lot of moments there during that last round. I made a nice putt at 13 to keep pace with everyone, about a 20-footer. And then played through, and I remember teeing off at 16. I had seen that Davis Love had finished with a closing great round. And I was even with him, and I needed a birdie quickly, and I got it at 16, and then I made an insurance one at 17. But things happened, well, beautifully for me. But I've told many people, Gary, I had a lot of help from a lot of different places that week.
The last one in 78 to be 7 shots behind Tom Watson and co, and go out there and come back in 30, and there were 4 of us tied, if I remember correctly, with 3 holes to go. Tom Watson, Hubert Green, I think it was Rod Funseth, if I'm not mistaken, and I birdied the last hole.
That's correct.
Yeah, and nobody had ever held a putt from above the hole to win Augusta at that stage. Since then, Mickelson, Sandy Lyle, and Tiger Woods have done it, and maybe somebody else. But all significant, and it's something you cherish for the rest of your life.
You know, Mark, you set a record when you won a couple different things. Obviously, the birdies on 17 and 18, but also you had 15 prior starts before you won that Masters. No one had done that before. If I said to you the thing that was the most important factor, your putter was really, really good that week, would you start there as to why you were able to cross the line in 98?
I would say that's absolutely the reason why. I'm a big believer that it does take some experience around Augusta National. Certainly power in the game of golf has become a huge asset, but I don't care how far you hit the ball or, what you're hitting to those greens. If you don't putt well at Augusta National that week, you're not going to win the tournament. I just find it hard to believe. And fortunately for me, even though I didn't feel good over my putter that week, I won and made some key putts, as you pointed out, Gary, coming down the stretch. But when I look back at the stats at the end of the week in 98, when I was fortunate to have the green jacket put on myself by Tiger, I had the fewest amount of putts in the field that week.
You did. I think it was 102 in total. Now, I have to ask you in particular, that year, of course, we've celebrated this week 86, but 1998, Jack was 58. He chipped in on 3, and when you and Freddie were playing 3, I believe, he was making birdie on 7. How cognizant were you that Jack Nicklaus at 58, was within 2 of the lead at that moment?
I was very aware of it. I mean, the place was on fire. It was erupting everywhere. And look, we know after all those years of having the opportunity to play with Mr. Nicklaus, to be around him, that those were Nicklaus roars on that Sunday afternoon. So there is so much excitement and buzz and fire, but there was even a little bit more that Sunday afternoon in 98 because of what, Jack Nicklaus was doing on the front 9.
It was getting really dark. I mean, really dark. I hit that 3-iron from the right-hand side, and I saw it turn over in this kind of grey mist. And by the time we got down there onto the green, I looked across at 12, and I thought, oh my God, how are we going to make a decision? I mean, if I say I want to stop, who's going to listen to me? It was really dark. So anyway, I got to the putt, and the funny bit was my caddy, Andy Prodger, came down, and I said to Prodger, I said, what do you think? And he said, all looks a bit of a blur to me, Gov. True as I sit here, I said, all right, you go up the other end and hang on to the flag, and I'm down this end. And I'd been working with Mike Hulbert, or Hubby. We played practice rounds together, and we got the putting stroke down as simple as, take it back with the left hand, hit it with the right. So when I grabbed hold of the putter, I'm squeezing the blood out of it for 2 seconds. I thought, okay, relax, let go. So I let go. And by the time I'd let go, I literally said left, right. And that thing came off as I described. It's the sweetest putt. It just came off sweet. It was good 3 foot of break, and whoosh, and it was in. And that was it. So that all took a couple of seconds, and then bang, I've won. So from what happened on the 10th green to the 11th, nobody predicted that one.
Well, Sir Nick, no one certainly could have predicted what is transpiring in our world currently. And we can certainly hope and rely on those predictions that normalcy is going to return to some degree. And when it does, the Masters will return as well in the month of November. And the great traditions that come with the Masters will be there. Golf Channel will, wall-to-wall coverage. Players in practice rounds, skipping balls over the pond on 16. The par 3 contest, and of course, that Champions Dinner held every year on Tuesday evening. And somebody who's become an unofficial steward of that particular event knows that in thinking about it, that alone is a great thing to look forward to.
I have done some thinking about it, and like I say, we're going to be relieved, but it's going to be a resurgence in a lot of things have to do with hope and inspiration. If you go through trying times like this in our nation, that you have to look forward to things. And this is obviously from the Masters champions' minds. It's a feeling of thankfulness that we can get into a single room and enjoy each other, relive our recollections of what happened to each player. I've always found it fascinating that the talk and the hearsay always is, you'd always turn to your other champions and tell me what clubs were you hitting into certain greens? Who were you chasing? Who was doing what? How did you feel? What adjustments did you make? How was your practice like? What adjustments did you make? Everybody has their own story, and it's remarkable.
Thanks so much to all the Masters champions who joined us this week as we celebrated the Masters, and we certainly hope you enjoyed our wall-to-wall coverage on Golf Channel and on all of our social media handles, including YouTube as well. And stay tuned to Golf Channel's YouTube page for daily morning drive content, and we'll see you in November when new traditions begin at the Masters. See you next time.